I power walked down to that pile of gummy bears and back. I should probably set the pile out further, or closer, so I can get at 'em. My feet so fat I can't get into my roller skates, and my neck and chest don't fit anymore. Look at this. It's a stick up. It don't work. I do this at a bank robbery, I look like a fool.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. Yes, where it is our goal to be the number one retro streaming channel in terms of not only video games but pop culture in general. As you can tell by the way I'm like announcing everything with like perfection to the max. That is what we bring here to the channel. Nothing but professionalism at the highest peak. If there was a 1 to 10 scale, we would be at like 15 because we are absolutely amazing. And of course, I am your host, the super elite Power Keg Greg. And you may be asking yourself, out of all the channels to watch in terms of getting, retro video games, retro news, pop culture news, why would you tune in here? Well, just look at me. I'm a ginger, first of all. I'm super elite. I announce everything crystal clear. So why wouldn't you hit that subscribe button? Why wouldn't you punch that thumbs up and ring that bell to get notified when I go live? I appreciate it. Nothing but peak professionalism here. One might say, Greg, you're late and gay. And that is very, very true. I am gay as a fox. I was rocking out to Lincoln Park as I was driving back home, listening to the new soundtrack. Sounds absolutely amazing. I'm just kidding. Lincoln Park sucks now since Chester is gone. I was actually thinking about like the song was on the radio and I was like heading home, and I was just like, man, this, out of all the things that I can remember back in the day when it came to Lincoln Park, yeah, like this doesn't sound like Lincoln Park at all. What's up, Gen X ADHD over on Twitch? Rip Chester. Yeah. Sucks that he felt like he needed to do that. I am actually quite curious, by the way. See, I don't even know what the new song is because I don't give a shit. Something about From the Bottle? From the Bottom, I think is what that's called. I just want to, I remember when, this first dropped and everyone was just bashing on it because it was just so terrible. I just wanted to check the thumbs up, thumbs down over on YouTube. Well, did not get ratioed, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Who cares? But hey, how's it going, everybody? Got some folks over on Rumble. Hey, how's it going? Hope you guys enjoy the show. Hope you guys will enjoy the chat engagement criteria. I think that's coming over in July of part of the content creator program over on Rumble. I've said my piece about it. I think it's actually foolish to be implementing those sort of criterias right now because Rumble is nowhere near Twitch and Kick status. But that's me. But in any case, yeah, we got some news today. Found some articles last minute that just made me chuckle. And that's kind of what the title of the show is for today. And that is Addy, Shankar, the guy for the Devil May Cry Netflix series, apparently apologized to Christians. So I definitely want to see what that entails. And then the Spider-Man, the animated series, not only the writer, I couldn't fit it in the head title of the show in terms of character length and stuff, but it's the head writer. Apparently wasn't asked to help out with the new Spider-Man animated series. So we'll check out that. And of course, we got other stuff too. So let's hop into it, shall we? All right, so we're starting off here over at that Park Place. Oh, and for anybody new here that's new to the show, welcome. Pretty much we just keep our minds up to date, sharp, and just see what's going on in pop culture. A lot of it actually being video games because I love video games. But also like movies, TV shows, anime, whatever I enjoy, whatever you enjoy. Just try to keep you guys up to date on stuff. Hopefully rekindle the nostalgic memories and the flame, because I think a lot of pop culture nowadays, that flame is dying. But I think it's slowly rising again. But if not, then we got to create our, some new nostalgia. But that is the goal of the show. And specifically, like I said, for retro, kind of retro based for sure, especially over on on any of the platforms, because I feel there's absolutely no love for retro games. Whenever I see games being featured on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble and stuff, it's always your modern Call of Duty or Fortnite or all that stuff. I want to change that, and I want to build a community to change that as well. So feel free to like and subscribe, like I said. Anyway, so that Park Place, the Switch 2 third-party games flop at launch while Nintendo titles dominate sales. So a new report from, what's up, Patty Quinn over on Rumble, says, yeah. Dude, they need to fix the pin system in Rumble Studios. Anyway, closed out of my window here. So a new report from the game business, apparently authored by respected industry analyst Chris Dring, sheds light on the early sales trends for the recently launched Switch 2, and the numbers reveal a stark divide between Nintendo's first-party success and third-party struggles. Doing great. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. I feel a lot of frustration was lifted off today. Hearth Aider over on Kick subscribed not too long ago. Welcome. No, sorry, I'm trying to keep up with all the chats. Since we are multi-streaming, that's right, we are on YouTube, Rumble, X, Kick, and Twitch. We are spreading that net out because heaven forbid something happens to one of the channels. But anyway, like I said, I'm doing all right. I've an air of frustration was kind of lifted off today, which is good. But gotta be due diligent in that. But in any case, so according to the launch data from Nielsen IQ, staggering 86% of physical game sales from Switch 2 in the UK were Nintendo-published titles, a figure heavily influenced by the inclusion of Mario Kart World, the hardware bundle. When excluding the bundle, Nintendo still accounted for 48% of game sales, showing a stronghold on consumer interest even without pack-in assistance. And I think this is kind of to be expected because Nintendo is good at making Nintendo games. That's the truth about all this. They're good at it. But again, you take away the third party, then that's all they have left. And we'll be definitely getting into something else with Nintendo. So in the US, data from Circana indicates a similar trend. 68 of games were first-party titles, Mario Kart bundle included. While these numbers are slightly lower than the launch of the original Switch, where first-party games made up 89% of UK sales and 81% in US, the Switch debuted with a significantly larger library of games, which makes the first-party dominance all more noticeable. But yes, I think that's kind of where we're... This is where I said in a past show that I can see the sales slowly teetering off, because once the Nintendo fans snag up all that stuff, then you're left to the common folk. And while they may enjoy a Nintendo game here and there, probably a lot of them is going to go to the third party stuff, and they're going to get it from another system or something. Cyberpunk tops third party, but most publishers struggles. So Cyberpunk Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition emerged, the best-selling non-Nintendo title at launch. Its success is partially credited to including the full game on a physical cartridge. Huh, amazing. You mean people like physically owning stuff? In contrast to the unpopular game key card format used by most other third-party games. Probably the dumbest thing ever is the game key card. They are really trying to sell you the concept of you will not own anything and you will like it. But here's like a case for it. Unbelievable. I'm drinking very generic brand root beer, by the way. Probably shouldn't do it because I'll probably, the chances of belching could happen. I should be drinking water and keeping myself hydrated. I'm a fool. So these game key cards provide a download code inside the case rather than a playable cartridge, something many collectors and physical media fans have rejected outright. You want to know what's interesting? Is I was kind of thinking not something similar, like for my own personal collection, not something similar to a game key card, but I was thinking about like, okay, so like I have games on the computer, and if I can if I can mod the games to pretty much make it better than like a physical copy that's out there and increase like the HD texture and all that stuff, I would still want something. So like part of me was kind of thinking like it still would be nice to at least have a case and manual and stuff, even though it's, even though it's on my PC and it's digital. Obviously the catch is I actually own the damn game. But yeah, the game key card thing is the stupidest thing ever. So Sega performed relatively well because the third largest third-party publisher on the platform at launch. Be helpful if I could read. Titles like Sonic X Shadow Generations, Yakuza 0, Director's Cut, and Poi Poi Tetris 2S helped the company carve out a modest presence. However, see, already belched. What did I tell you? Very, very rude there, Patty Quinn. However, not all publishers are pleased with the results. One unnamed third-party executive told the game business that launch sales came in, quote, below our lowest estimate. Oh, wow. Despite what they described as remarkably strong hardware sales for the system itself. Why are third-party games underperforming? There appear to be multiple factors contributing to the underwhelming third-party performance. Tell us, please, that Park Place. Nintendo first, everything else second. As history has shown, many consumers purchase Nintendo hardware specifically for Nintendo games. This is very much true. But what a lot of people are upset about is the bricking, which we'll switch over to something there to showcase that in a second here. And, I mean, I'm sorry, you cannot convince me, like, right now to get a Switch 2 to pay a high-priced console that has just now come up to date with all the technology that every other console, even a computer, like has been using for quite a while, Like, to me, that's the craziest part. The biggest one, obviously, for me is the bricking. That is absolutely retarded. This trend seems intact with the Switch 2, even more so given the strength of Mario Kart World. Backwards compatibility dulls urgency. The Switch 2 is fully backwards compatible with original Switch titles. Many of those legacy games run better on the new hardware, reducing the urgency of consumers to buy new releases, especially ports of older titles. Now that's interesting because I thought I saw like memes on X, like showcasing how they have to slow down the frame rate or something like that. So it's like, why would you want to play these games backwards compatible if it's like, what would be the word? Not truly fully backwards compatible, I guess. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Like, I've seen it, but I didn't really take the time to absorb and to like see exactly what it was talking about. Recycled content. A large number of third-party Switch 2 games are ports or re-release of games that players must have already experienced years ago on other platforms, offering little incentives for repurchase. Well, this is true on other platforms for sure. But I think that's kind of where Nintendo kind of gets away with stuff when they make an HD version of it that's now playable on the Switch, like what is it? The Wind Waker? Or no, yeah, the Wind Waker. Like I played that on the did I play the Switch? I believe I played the Switch version. I can't remember if I did that or if it was the Wii U version. But in any case, people want that HD remaster, remake, or remaster really. A remake to me is like, like Link's Awakening. That's a remake. But anyway, game key backlash. As mentioned, the use of the game key cards instead of full cartridges is widely disliked among Nintendo fans. I don't think just Nintendo fans. I think fans in general. Well, not fans, gamers in general. It's the stupidest thing. It is literally trying to convince you. It is slowly trying to convince you that it's okay not to own stuff, and it's stupid, and it's dumb, and it needs to rot in hell. This anti-download code sentiment likely hurt third-party box sales significantly. And then review embargo frustrations. Nintendo chose to withhold Switch 2 hardware from reviewers until the last minute, leaving both media outlets and consumers unable to properly evaluate the quality of the third-party ports ahead of a release. For instance, Hitman World of Assassination looked like a showcase title on paper, but its disappointing frame rate on the new hardware has already met headlines. So while it's still early in the console's life cycle, the writing on the wall suggests that third-party publishers may have an uphill battle for the Switch 2, particularly if Nintendo continues to dominate the release calendar. With highly anticipated exclusives like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I believe there was like a new trailer or something like that, and Pokemon Legends Z through A set to arrive later this year, it may be even harder for outside publishers to capture attention. So unless something shifts, be it in pricing, marketing, or cartridge policy, third-party studios could find themselves competing not just with each other, but with Nintendo's deep library of evergreen titles and growing hardware ecosystem. But again, like the Switch 2 hardware is nothing special. Like all it is the hardware that's been used for quite a while. And Nintendo thinks that they're cool for slapping a higher price tag on it. But as I kind of hinted before, there's also another reason why people are pissed. And this comes from Pirate Nation, apparently from Tom's Hardware. Nintendo's already bricking consoles. After just 12 days, Nintendo is already nuking Switch 2 console accounts for players caught using MIG Flash, a popular cartridge allows Switch 1 games on the new console, but users says they're only using their own ROMs. And be wary if you're planning to use the MIG switch with your Nintendo Switch 2, with users reportings indicating a widespread ban on consoles. This is 100% bullshit. And this is what a lot of people complained about to Nintendo. Is, again, I do not understand how Nintendo seems to have this concept that even when you literally go into a store and you go, here is my money, and they hand you the console, and you go, thank you, and the transaction is complete, and you walk out, how Nintendo thinks that somehow we still own that console in some way, shape, and form. You don't. When you buy the fucking thing and the transaction is done, you own it. Period. End of story. Like, if someone wanted to go to the Nintendo headquarters and smash it right outside the front thing, they can do it if they want to. If they immediately want to take it apart, which I've seen videos of people literally doing that, they can do it. If they want to do that and go beyond it and just see how things work and reverse engineer it, they can do it. I'm so this attitude Nintendo has is ridiculous. And we've seen in the past, of course, of them going after tons of people, suing them, shutting down Emu Paradise, which was like probably a huge tidal wave in terms of emulation and all that. And it's ridiculous. And then they wonder why people pirate their shit. Because even apparently when you actually own it, to them that you still don't own it. Like, it's still ours in any way. Now you can tell me, yeah, IP works differently with, over in Japan compared to the US. Yeah, that's fine. And yes, you can also point out the fact that yeah, if there's literally people selling like cracked, like people streaming like pirated versions of games before they're even out, like that I can understand. Like that I can okay. Well, at least the streaming like full games before they're even hit the stores or something like that. That one's kind of retarded, but you knew something was going to happen. But I don't know, people like selling like a modding service. I personally don't see the problem. Fuck you, Nintendo. I bought the console. I'll risk modding it, and if it fucks up, that's on me. Petty Quinn says it's so ridiculous. It is. It's retarded. I hate it. But there you go. I just thought this was interesting that everyone hyping on how good the Switch 2 is doing. Apparently not the third-party games. So that was from that Park Place. So you can check that website out. One of the places I go to just to try to keep myself up to date with stuff. So we have a Tech for Gamer article here. That also, I guess I had another article talking about the third-party support. So they also covered that even though despite Switch 2 having wait a minute, they're saying a strong third-party support, publisher report lower than expected sales. I love Tech for Gamers, like just because like some of the stuff they talk is like makes sense, and then other times it doesn't. I guess more so like you can kind of see where they fall in line with their belief system, but that's fine. It's always good to try to at least understand other people's stuff. Now there's some belief systems out there that needs to be absolutely ignored immediately because it makes no fucking sense. And then when you even remotely try to understand them, it's so retarded that, nothing comes out when they move their lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. And motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. So Tech for Gamer says, even though the Switch 2 launch may not have been that exciting, the handheld was easily becoming the fastest selling console of all time. I find it funny that they say the handheld and then say the fastest selling console of all time. It's a handheld console hybrid. So when I think of handheld, I think it like, on the go. But anyway, with almost 2 weeks since its release, the first statistics for the Switch 2 being revealed. As usual, good first-party sales are supported in both hardware and software. However, things seem a little complicated on the third-party end, which was a big focus for Nintendo this time around. New reports reveal that the third-party Switch 2 games haven't been performing that great. Nintendo's biggest marketing point for Switch 2 was its expansion of supporting third-party games. However, this tactic isn't working for them, judging by this report. I'm going to go up here again, and I want to reread this title. Despite Switch 2 having strong third-party support, publisher report lower than expected sales. I feel like this is supposed to say strong first-party support. Or is it referring to that the Switch 2 can handle a lot of third parties ports? Because we already read that apparently it's not doing actually so hot with certain games. Nintendo's biggest marketing point for the Switch 2 was its expansion of supporting third-party games. However, okay, we already read that, judging by this report. So again, from the game business, one third-party publisher characterized these low sales to them as below our lowest estimates. Like we read, out of all of these, Cyberpunk 2077 secured the most sales. And to me, why would you not play Cyberpunk on the computer? Because I feel like that's the best way to do it. Or you could say, I don't know, whatever. It just to me felt like a computer game. That's what I got it. I got the GOG version. I was smart. The lack of third-party game sales could be due to these titles being older releases that have just been ported to Switch, such as Hogwarts Legacy. That's right. I've seen the Hogwarts Legacy like comparison videos, and like the Switch 2 sucks. Hitman and more. Moreover, the Switch 2 isn't the best place to play these AAA games in general. I know. So, yeah, you can only do so much when you have first-party Nintendo games, but then if you don't have anything else, those sales aren't going to keep up forever. For the first Switch, most owners already had a primary way of gaming, whether it was a console or a PC. The same scenario is also expected for the Switch 2, and gamers will likely prefer it for Nintendo games only. Yep. First party sales were good and weren't an improvement over the original Switch, since more consoles were sold this time and the first party catalog was also bigger. Wait, what? First party sales were good and weren't an improvement over the original Switch, since more consoles were sold this time and the first party catalog was bigger. So, wait, do they mean that it was an improvement because since they sold more consoles and had more first party catalog, it was better? I feel like this whole article doesn't make sense. I don't know if that's me just being retarded and not understanding grammar because I are dumb, but I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me. Oh my gosh, Hearth Hater, who subscribed over on Kick, immediately told me about how if I need help boosting my followers and my engagement, that I should contact him. Oh my gosh. And yet the Discord username doesn't even match the original. God, this is why I fucking hate Kick. Because they do nothing for these retarded bots. This is primarily due to the backwards compatibility support that the Switch 2 has, meaning players can play their existing game libraries on the new console. Overall, Mario Kart Bundle is the most first-party sales, 80%. We already read about that. And then what are your thoughts? So, yeah, kind of a reiteration of what we read already. The only thing I got out of was the fact that they mentioned Hogwarts Legacy, and then that reminded me of like the other comparison videos we saw. Well, there you go. So there's some Switch 2 stuff for you. Oh, here's something I thought was funny. Hopping over to Video Game Chronicle. Limited Run has asked Nintendo to pull the Gex trilogy from the eShop as it doesn't work on the Switch 2. Haha. I think it's funny because I hate limited run games. Because out of all the companies that get to be able to make limited physical copies, they go with a company that, you know, fires people for wrong think. So I think they're scum. Like if I ever needed a game that was done by them, like I would go third party, like eBay buy it, because at least I know my money would go to the seller and not limited run. Plus, they had an issue where like they were using like what was it, like cheap CDs or something. Limited Run Game says it's asked Nintendo to pull Gex Trilogy from the eShop because it's currently not working on the Switch 2. The publisher notes that 12 of its previous release games, which weren't working on Switch 2, have all been fixed in the console's recently released firmware update. Backwards compatibility report on Nintendo's website lists 155 games that have, quote, issues that prevent progress on Nintendo Switch 2, including games with startup issues. This list includes a number of limited run games, all of which use the company's Carbon engine, which is designed for modern re-releases of retro titles. Nintendo released a Switch 2 firmware update earlier today, and Limited Runs has reported that it appears to have fixed the issues with most of its affected games. However, the recently released Gex trilogy doesn't appear to have been fixed in the update, and Limited Run is in the process of submitting a patch to Nintendo. Because this patch will be delayed, however, it has asked Nintendo to remove the game from sale until it's fixed. Nintendo updated the Switch 2 firmware last night, so we're happy to announce that this has resolved the backwards compatibility issue with the majority of our Carbon engines, the publisher wrote on X. We're literally just rereading the quote that was already stated up there. In the meantime, we have asked Nintendo to remove the game from the Switch 2 eShop. Thank you for your patience as we work with Nintendo to resolve these issues. And here's their full list of stuff. Bill and Ted's Excellent Retro Collection, A Boy and His Blob, Clock Tower Rewind, Felix the Cat, whatever. This one's upsetting because I would have loved to have an updated like physical copy of Rocket Knight Adventures. I have the cartridge. I don't have the case and manual. I feel like that's going to be like ridiculously expensive. I also have the Jurassic Park stuff. I have that one at least. But there you go. As you can see, not a fan of limited run games since what they did to Kara, but all their other stuff has been updated. So if you want to play those versions, go ahead, knock yourself out. So we all know, like, it's pretty much becoming a joke, even though one couldn't make the argument that it's no joke in losing your job or anything like that. But you know, layoffs in the video game system is apparently now the norm because, you know, when you hire a bunch of people that are useless and then the game doesn't sell, then you wonder why it hasn't sold. So you need to like cut people off or corporate greed, whichever you want to throw it under. Microsoft plans to lay off thousands of employees next month. Who would have saw this coming? Oh my goodness gracious. My goodness. So layoffs in the gaming industry have been occurring frequently for a couple of years now, which highlights the industry's poor condition. Companies like Microsoft and Sony have been at the very middle of this trend, and it isn't going to die off anytime soon. Around 225,000, I was almost going to say 250,000 employees, but 25,000 employees in 2024 were laid off. And then another report revealed that 1 out of 10 developers were laid off in 2024. And a similar trend may occur this year as well. This is because Microsoft is now planning to lay off thousands of employees next month. And then the gaming giant has laid off over 6,000 employees this year already, so it's planning to lay off even more. And according to the author here, it should be extremely concerning. Well, if they're useless, get rid of them. Because I ain't weeping over the loss of them. But if it's due to the fact that the retards in charge aren't being punished for sucking and they're just laying off people, then yeah, a little bit of a problem. But, So according to Bloomberg, the company's planning to lay off thousands of employees, following a layoff of 6,000 employees just a few weeks ago. And they said Microsoft Corporation is planning to axe thousands of jobs. Isn't there supposed to be an end at the end of axe? Because you literally are talking about like using an axe to like cut something off, thus being the people, i.e. their jobs. Particularly in sales, as part of the company's latest move to trim its workforce amid heavy spending on artificial intelligence. That's going to bother me now, so now I need to check. Let's see. Both axe and axe refer to the long-handled tool with the heavy metal. I'm talking about, taking an axe to something. Both axe and axe are also used as verbs for actions. So apparently, it seems that either or is fine. That doesn't make sense to me because it's using the axe, the tool, as an analogy of like for something else. So whatever. Gotta love the English. Gotta love the language. Apparently, I should be like speaking another language because I can't speak it myself, and I'm native. Thus, the curse of being a ginger continues. The media outlet also reported that the layoffs are expected to be announced earlier this month, as this would coincide with the end of Microsoft's fiscal year. Previously in May, Microsoft laid off 6,000 people in the product. Holy crap. Like, okay, this is said like it's going to lay off 6,000 people like 5,000 times. We get it. So the sales and marketing team was safe then too. Oh, they're the people being laid off is going to be those from the product and engineering market. Of course, the sales and marketing team are going to be safe. Of course, they're going to be because it's not their fault they suck. The company is laying off employees at a massive rate, which is pretty unfortunate. This is because those who are laid off may find it hard to get another job at this level again. Again, the question is, did they even deserve the job to begin with? I'm under the category of methinks no. Methinks a lot of them did not deserve said job. It should also be noted that the company hasn't confirmed anything yet. Bloomberg is the source of this report, and this media outlet has been largely accurate. So it would be reasonable to consider this news credible. What do you think about the gaming giant preparing to axe even more jobs? To be expected. There's my answer. Oh, this was something that was unfortunate that I wanted to bring up. So the Playdead co-founder, this comes from Video Game Chronicle, says the studio is suing him, accusing it of trying to erase his involvement in Limbo and Inside. And I believe, I want to say I played both. This is one of those games where Eric and I played, like we traded off. And I'm pretty sure, and I know we played Limbo. I'm trying to remember if I played Inside as well. Anyway, I thought those games were pretty fun. So Dino Patty says a falling out with the co-founder Arndt Jensen has led to an upcoming court case. So Dino Patty, who co-founded Playdead with Limbo creator Arndt Jensen, has said that after being threatened with legal action earlier this year, the studio's lawyers intended to move forward with the lawsuit against him. Patty had previously told game developer in March that Playdead was threatening legal action, mainly for a LinkedIn post he made in late 2004 containing a, quote, lengthy description of Limbo's development, and including an, quote, unauthorized photo that was owned by Jensen, who subsequently asked for $77,000. I don't know what DKK currency is as compensation. Let's see. DKK currency. Where's that from? Oh, Danish. I should have figured. So now in an interview with, oh, it literally says the Danish publication. But this also shows, ladies and gentlemen, how I don't screen any of this. What you see is my authentic, real reaction to these. That's why this channel is so awesome. That's why it gives you 100% enunciation and 100% professionalism at the max. That is more than enough reasons to hit that subscribe button, to turn on notifications, and to leave a like if you enjoy this sort of stuff. I also do gaming as well. We just finished God of War Chains of Olympus, and I'll be doing God of War Ghosts of Sparta next. Along with, I need to do the Rumble Premium requirement, which isn't that difficult. So we'll be doing a game specifically over there. So that's why you should follow me over on Rumble. But in case you missed it, I am multi-streaming on 5 platforms: Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, X, Kick. You can follow me all over there and help those channels grow. For this channel, the Power Up Podcast, me, the super elite host, to be the self-declared #1 retro gaming channel that you have ever seen in this entire reality and existence as you know it. There you go. Anyway, so Arcaden, that was the Danish publication. Patty says Playdead's lawyers intend to proceed with the lawsuit, meaning the trial is set to go ahead. According to Patty, the lawsuit is the accumulation of a falling out with Jensen, They founded Playdead in 2006 and went on to release the critically acclaimed Limbo in 2010, followed by the similarly well-received Inside in 2016. So unfortunately, and it always seems to happen, and it's unfortunate. So one must wonder how strong your friendship is. Patty says their friendship started to deteriorate a couple of years before the release of Inside, and Patty eventually left Playdead in 2017 to found a new studio, Jump Ship, which released its first game, Somerville, in 2022. So Patty alleges that the lawsuit is part of Jensen's attempt to erase him from Playdead's history, pointing out that the credits for the initial release of the game listed Patty on the first page as executive producer, but that subsequent re-releases after he left placed him much lower down the list. In the Switch version, Patty's name is on the third page of the credits. Kind of has a Facebook, with Zuckerberg and the twins and all that stuff. In a legal letter, and then the other guy too, I can't remember the name. Anyway, in a legal letter sent to Patty by Playdead's lawyers, following his behind-the-scenes LinkedIn post, it was suggested that Patty was trying to say he was more involved in the game's development than he actually was. We want to repeat and caution that your continued use of Playdead's assets and any disclosure and exploitation of inside knowledge about Playdead for commercial purposes is infringing and constitutes a breach of confidentiality clauses, the letter reads. By providing receipts with core insights to the process of developing Limbo, you are falsely given the impression that you played a significant role, including a creative role in the development of the game. Dear Lord, I need to take apparently I need to warm up before I immediately go live. Patty said he hopes the upcoming trial will let him speak openly about the situation without fear of legal consequences, saying, "The cool thing is that journalists like you," that would be Arcaden, "can request access to everything that happens, and I won't hold anything back. I'll basically be legally required to release all the images and materials showing what I've done." Or showing what's going on. See, now I'm just making up stuff. Oh my goodness gracious. Wait, what? Footage of a canceled Dungeons & Dragons RPG has appeared online. This was released 8 hours ago. Huh. Apparently it was codenamed Project Dante, which reportedly in development at Washington-based Hidden Path Entertainment, who had previously co-developed Counter-Strike Global Offense with Valve. It's reported by MP1's first round 10-minute of footage can be watched. The game was canceled after 3 years in development. It was never formally announced before it was canceled in 2023 by Wizards of the Coast, the owner of Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, it's a rather new game, so it's probably going to be woke as hell. But it shows third-person action game where the players take control of several party members. It's unclear how far along in the development the game was, though the text that appears throughout the video seems to suggest that this clip was from the portfolio of the game's music supervisor. So here you go. Okay. Interesting. Concept art from the canceled game also appeared online. The concept art includes character archetypes and brief glimpses of the world of the canceled RPG. Several Dungeons & Dragons games are currently in development thanks to the increased popularity of the IP in recent years. The most notably recent was, of course, Baldur's Gate 3, game set in Dungeons & Dragons universe, which was released to massive acclaim, including numerous Game of the Year awards. What's up, Chaos Smash? What up, brudda? Over on YouTube. How's it going? But yeah, I would say that the game was probably going to suck because we all seen how Wizards of the Coast is so woke and Dungeons & Dragons just being bastardized beyond belief. Yeah, but if you want to watch it, you can check out the article here. Alrighty. So, hopping back over to Tech for Gamers again. I believe we mentioned that a God of War game that's supposedly going back to the Greek roots has now been pushed back to 2026, says an insider. So, rumors of a new God of War project had been making the rounds for months, but a reliable leaker recently suggested that a 2.5D Metroidvania game set in the Greek era was being worked on at Santa Monica Studios. Many expected this title to be one of the headliners at Sony's latest State of Play, but the game was nowhere to be seen. Following this no-show, the same leaker states that the game has been delayed. You're doing okay? Just playing some Killing Floor 2 while losing some brain cells from the game. Oh, torturing yourself, it sounds like? That's not good. So, God of War is PlayStation's biggest IP in the modern era, making each entry a massive deal for the game's giant and its audience. Well, I mean, that could be debated. The OG God of War, which I was playing and finished, the PSP God of War, Chains of Olympus, like I mentioned earlier. So that's why this caught my eye, because I was like, hey, I was playing God of War. And we'll, like I said, we'll probably start up Ghost of Sparta. So this information comes from Jeff Grubb, one of the industry's most reliable leakers. And according to Grubb, the Greek God of War project has been pushed back to 2026. Although the leaker did not provide many details, he had previously suggested that the game was set to launch later this year, and that it appears that Santa Monica Studio requires additional time for the project, resulting in this delay. And then here's the quote: I heard it was pushed into 2026 as well. Fortunately, an official announcement could still arrive sometime this year. Perhaps the project has grown in scope since development began, leaving Santa Monica with no choice but to pursue a delay. Anyhow, a new God of War release should be a big deal for PlayStation fans in 26. Because the game giant is now attempting to launch at least one first-party title each year, this release should help it fulfill this target for the next year. Elsewhere, Santa Monica is expected to be working on a brand new IP alongside this project. The studio has been away from the limelight since God of War Ragnarok. Really? That came out in 2022? This is how far behind I am with dates. So fans should stay tuned in for a few announcements over the next year or two. There you go. This caught my eye, bringing in some retroness. Over at Niche Gamer, there's an isometric horror game, Stasis, finally comes to console. I just find this interesting because this reminds me of Baldur's Gate, like 1 and 2. So it kind of has that similar setup. So nearly a decade after its debut on PC, Fear-demic and developer The Brotherhood announces Stasis is finally coming to the console this month. So you can look for it on Xbox One, Series XS, Switch, PS4, PS5 later this month for $10 on June 26th. The point-and-click asymmetric survival horror game was originally released for Steam and GOG way back in the year of August of 2015. And here's the rundown. It's the critically acclaimed science fiction horror masterpiece. In this distant future, aboard a seemingly abandoned spacecraft, John Marichek awakes from stasis. He must push himself to new limits to unravel the mysteries around him. Stasis is an isometric point-and-click science fiction horror adventure game. It intertwines a gruesome narrative with retro adventure gameplay. Combine items, interact with computers, solve puzzles while experiencing the gritty atmosphere. Lose yourself in the sound, experience cinematic AAA music composed by the legendary Mark Morgan, a blast from the past, a retro adventure gameplay mixed with a gruesome narrative. So click, read, interact. The voices are getting louder. Unfold the story with professional voice acting that brings depth to every character. Yeah, it definitely gives off for me a Baldur's Gate feel. If anyone has never played the OG Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, I'd highly recommend. Those are great games. And then I have them, but I haven't played them yet. The Neverwinter Nights is very kind of like that game. Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition, I believe, is what those games were based on. So there's some retro pumping for you that sparks your interest. Okay, so we're up to the big topics. Both of them. Oh, I never checked. No, I think I did. But anyway, both of them from Fandom Pulse, which is fine. So I'm definitely interested in this. So Netflix Devil May Cry creator Adi Shankar apparently apologizes to Christians, promises to make Baines the hero in season 2. No idea who Baines is. Is it the one army guy that was literally portrayed as the bad guy, from what I've heard? Let's find out, shall we? Let's see what this has entail. So Adi Shankar, the creator of Netflix's Devil May Cry animated series, issued an apology to Christians and promised to make Baines the hero of the show's second season. Now, this to me immediately sounds like a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. Because, I mean, people called him out on bashing Christianity. And he desperately was like, no, wasn't doing it. And it's like, yeah, you were, you asshole. So here we go. On X, Shankar was asked, how about you make a series where every single clergy member isn't an evil villain? You are aware you have never cast Christians in a positive light in anything you have had your hand in. And he replied, oh, I knew it. I knew it was tongue-in-cheek. I apologize to Christians. I love Christians. In season 2, Baines will be the hero. The user replied, yeah, real funny. It's obvious you despise Christians with a passion, so your response is more mocking. Shankar then responded, no, I'm being sincere. I actually studied Christianity. Bullshit you have. Bullshit. I have no beef with Christians or Christianity. I feel like Christians have been, in parentheses, unfairly under attack. And if I have contributed to that in any way, I deeply apologize. That was not my intent. Dude, 100% bullshit. It was 100% your intent. Christianity is the most hated religion on the planet, which to me is kind of an indication that maybe there's some truth to that compared to all the other ones. Because all the other religions out there say, you know, you need to do something to earn yourself salvation, and you need to do like these steps or reach nirvana or XYZ to, you know, to get yourself into paradise status and salvation status. And Christianity is the only one that says, hey, guess what? Whatever you do in your life, it's not going to be enough and you're going to be unable to do it. Hence why Jesus Christ, who was saying this, said that is where, you know, the Word, that is when I became, you know, the Word made flesh. That is why I am here to do that for you and to reconnect that bridge between creation and creator. Bullshit. And dude, studied Christianity. I'm sorry, progressive Christianity isn't real Christianity. Like I 100% know for a fact that if he truly did study Christianity, it's some progressive garbage. You know damn well it is. The user was unconvinced, retorting, you do have a beef with us, and it's obvious. Not a single one of your projects has ever shown Christianity in a positive light. Everything has been, we are pedos, or murderers, or rapists. You literally are part of the problem. Show me a non-evil clergy member in Castlevania. Shankar then reiterated, I have no beef with you. Again, I apologize. We'll be more cautious going forward. Christianity is awesome. Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. And it's so funny, too, because what this guy pointed out in terms of like the talking points, which, yes, there is a bunch of that disgustedness in that we see specifically with Catholicism. You know, the murderers, though, I mean, that stems all over the place. But, you know, again, they tack it on to Christianity. Rapist, I feel like that's kind of the same thing, too. I mean, don't talk about, you know, Muhammad and what he did. Same as, and entails with that as well. But it's hilarious. But, you know, when it comes to all the other religions that get caught doing that stuff, they get a free pass. But of course, Christianity, you find that out. It's, you're a hypocrite, XYZ and stuff. That's why Christ warned to like get your shit fixed before you go around pointing out the flaws of other people. And pretty much, expect that to be returned right back at you. Hence why you should, make sure, again, remove the log from your eye first before you point out the speck of someone else. Chaos. Unfortunately, Shankar is an attention seeker and lives off of bad press. Yes, he does. He's a huge fag. Shankar's apology comes in the wake of his Devil May Cry show being heavily criticized for depicting demons as sympathetic and depicting Christianity as bad. Yeah, again, like it isn't shocking, especially coming from Hollywood, because Hollywood is deep into the occult and like demon shit. Like, of course, they project all of that onto Christianity. They do. And that's not to say, there hasn't been false people saying they're Christians and, of course, doing non-Christian things. They're always out there, the fake Christians, the antichrists, and all that stuff. Hence why you need to test the spirits in Acts 17:11, everything, which is the Berean challenge. Pretty much saying, double check the scripture, study the scripture, and whenever you hear someone trying to explain what it is, see if it lines up, and pray about it and all that stuff. The Castlevania show's anti-Christian wasn't Shankar. Shankar was the writer, Warren Smith, that was very vocal in his scripts that he hates Christians. I heard it was also Shankar, but, whatever. One could even say that Shankar allowed it as well, so he might have even commented saying that he agrees with it, but, I'll take your word for it, Chaos Smash. But regardless, yeah, I mean, clearly biased. So one user wrote, the only character who talks about the Lord is the corrupt politician. You added Jesus Christ to Devil May Cry just to make him an accessory to obviously set up villain. You lied. And then, that was from Kaguya's Top Gal, also bashed the show's writing. In the Netflix Devil May Cry show, America invades hell like it's a Middle East country. Demons are actually refugees of the wars caused by Whitey. And then someone else, G Warning, pointed out, they unironically made it about the evil Americans invading hell and killing the poor innocent demons, and Green Day starts playing. Yeah, that's oh gosh, so gay. Manga Lawyer also pointed out the show's depiction of demons to the Rings of Power's depiction of orcs where it attempted to paint them as sympathetic. He wrote, wait a minute, where have I seen this before? And then you got your pictures right there. But you won't let Shankar off the hook for the Castlevania series. Oh, I wasn't saying anything by it, but yeah. And then Shankar would respond to one critic describing the show as Christian bad, American bad, illegals good. He simply wrote, and then he said, no. And then what do you make of Shankar's apology? Well, obviously tongue in cheek. And again, like I said, a huge homo. In fact, Norm Macdonald says it best.
This guy must be a fag.
But yeah, this guy really likes to paint himself like purposely as like this sort of like, no, I didn't do it, and then just loves the attention of the backlash and stuff like that, even though like it doesn't benefit anybody, especially him, because it just goes to show that you're a huge dick. Really, what he needs to do.
Shut up, bitch!
Man, back when wrestling was awesome, his god complex is to the roof. Yeah, no, the biggest tell of his gold was at that one award show place or whatever where he was on, where it's like him dressed as Donde and he's like pointing, and the title straight up says the creator of Devil May Cry. Like, I think I can find it. Like, that is what he wants in the end. And again, this also ties into all these people that bastardize franchises. That is what they want, is that when you see that franchise, they want their version to be remembered and go down in history. And they will do whatever they can to remove the history of where the franchise came from. Because it's a wrong thing. Let's see if I can find that gay ass picture. Dante, I guess cosplay. So that's what he was doing. It's somewhere. I mean, I guess technically I could look up his. I mean, I don't know how far I would have to. Here it is. Oh, good. Didn't have to go far back at all. Here it is. Oh, you fuck. I was about to put the tab into. Boom. Wait a minute. Oh, that's a. Oh my gosh, that's a mock. I didn't even read it. It's that picture, but it's like some shitty, like replacement of him and stuff. That's funny. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to like fucking scroll through this. Damn it. I was really hoping that it would stay up on top. What the hell? Yeah, this is who's keeping, wanting to make a contribution to the Devil May Cry series, folks. It says this is from someone named Devil May Be Cute. Oh my gosh. Here's kind of the picture, but here it is. You can kind of see it right there. It says creator of Devil May Cry. So there you go, scumbag. He's threatening to work on Blue Blaze as well. No, yeah, I read that list. I read that list of series that he thinks is dead. And that was like the latest biggest thing I remember was him getting he got super ass mad when Bounding into Comics, I believe, posted that screenshot of him in that interview stating that he was pissed off that when he decided to revise the franchise, that Capcom announced that they were making Devil May Cry 5, and he pretty much lost his thunder. He got super ass mad about that. I called him out on it. I said, "You're just ass mad that, I don't remember how I worded it. It was nice, though. It was very nice and very not vulgar whatsoever. Everybody is just shitting on him, which is glorious. I know. He's trying to act tough, but he's just like weeping and crying at home, wondering why isn't anyone grateful for, the contribution I put in. It's like, motherfucker, you wanted to revitalize Devil May Cry, and you straight up stated that you immediately thought of Johnny Young Bosch to voice Dante, who he literally voices fucking Nero, you ass. Then everyone trying to be like, oh, well, Ruben Langdon's too old and he sounds too old and he's not young anymore. And it's like, dude, like I looked up both Johnny Young Bosch's and Ruben's age. They're literally 1 year apart. It's like, what? Yeah, like obviously Bosch's vocal range is younger, but like you didn't even fucking ask Ruben. But again, this is where, oh yeah, and that just reminded me of what I said. Yeah. My response to him when he was all ass mad about it, it was that he was upset of the fact that he thought he was going to continue the story and he was going to bastardize it in any way he can. Then they announced Devil May Cry 5. So he then quickly decided that, well, I got to then do a prequel, which they always seem to do because that's the whole plan. Again, to change the origin of the story where everything came from and then to ruin it. But there you go. I thought that kind of was what I was expecting, but I did wanted to see like what his response was. But yeah, there you go. Knew it was going to be tongue in cheek. So this one was kind of sucky that caught my eye, and that was the head writer from Spider-Man the Animated Series, which I remember watching way back in the day. And I actually continued it not too long ago. I need to start that up again. I guess it was for reveals Marvel Comics never approached him about their new Spider-Man 94 series. So reboots of the 1990s nostalgia are all the rage at Marvel, both with their comics and studios, and a comic book of Spider-Man 94 is on the horizon, just like X-Men 97 received a cartoon reboot. Ugh. But the head writer of the 90s shows, John Semper Jr., says Marvel never reached out to him about their comment. Oh, dude, if you are somewhat based, they're of course not going to reach out to you because they do not want you to, do what was bad. Like everyone, they're going after the 90s because they hate the 90s. That's the real truth. These people hate the 90s. It wasn't, it was a time in where, anything was possible, but still somewhat conservative or based. But I won't deny some things were gay, like the Satanic Panic and all that stuff. But it wasn't progressive enough. And it pisses them off that all of these established franchises were done in a time that wasn't progressive. And so they need to rectify that by progressifying all of it so that their versions can be remembered and that their versions they can state is the true version. That's why they do all these going back, doing prequels, different timelines, time travel, and all that shit. My friend who loves DMC watched American Idiot because he was bored and he was so disappointed. This spurred me on to watch the Madhouse real anime, and I was not disappointed. So Spider-Man the Animated Series is a bright spot for Marvel for any screen adaptation of their beloved comics. It presents a version of Peter Parker that closely mirrors the 1990s comics, bringing it up to date, and is a great spot for anyone to get to know the character of Spider-Man and his supporting cast. Yeah, but they did still do a lot of censoring in the Spider-Man animated series, replacing guns with like laser blasters and saying words like "I'll destroy you" as opposed to "kill you" or whatever. So, with X-Men 97 getting the reboot treatment on Disney Plus, many fans speculated Spider-Man would be something that they look at as well. Though Disney Marvel went a different direction, doing a Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is gonna suck, cartoon that made a lot of questionable choices to the reboot the characters. Yep. This last week, Marvel Comics announced they would be putting on a Spider-Man 94 limited series in comics form to bring back the nostalgia of the animated series, bringing in 1990s Amazing Spider-Man writer J.M. DeMatteis to do the writing work. While this would generally please a lot of fans, the head writer of the original show took to X to let fans know he was blindsided by the announcement. Apparently, Marvel Comics didn't even attempt to contact him about it. Posted to X with an image saying, "So, about the new Spider-Man 94 comic book. I got a text message this morning from my good friend Matt Dunford telling me that Marvel is, quote, continuing my Spider-Man animated series in comic book form in a 4-issue limited series called Spider-Man 94. Since I will no doubt be asked about it by fans of the series, no, I am not involved with the comic book, and no one at Marvel approached me to be involved in any way. Matt's text message was the first I heard of it. The internet tells me that J.M. DeMatteis is the writer of the comic book, and I have nothing but the greatest respect for him. His amazing body of work over the years in both animation and comic book speaks for itself, and I'm positive this new comic is in great hands. I hired him years ago to participate in writing one episode of my series, which ran for 65 episodes, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with him. Where he now chooses to take the series story-wise is entirely his decision, but for the record, they are not my creative choices, nor do they represent any oversight by me. Yes, it would have been nice, some might even say respectful, if Marvel had reached out to me at some point as a courtesy. But I have long ago abandoned all expectation that Marvel would acknowledge any of my contributions. Man, yeah, see, contributions to the Marvel Universe, like, for instance, my creation of what is now known as the, quote, Spider-Verse. So I wish them well and encourage us all to celebrate with good cheer this 30th anniversary of Spider-Man the Animated Series, and keep your eyes on all my social, especially YouTube, because I intend to launch my own celebration of my series in the very near future. In the immortal words of my mentor, Stan the Man, enough said. P.S. If you're still reading this far since I have your attitude, I will be remiss not to mention that my latest animated series, Weather Hunters, for which I am one of the executive producers and the one and only head writer, will be debuting on PBS in September. Created by Al Roker, teaches kids the science of weather and boasts on an all-star cast that includes LeVar Burton, Shirley Lee Ralph, and Holly Robinson Pete. Also in the cast is Rodney Salisbury, who is the voice of Joe Robbie Robertson in Spider-Man. Oh, nice. In the animated series. So gather your kids together and check it out this fall. Excelsior. So this puts a big asterisk on the project, as it's clear Marvel Comics is continuing with their tradition of not respecting creators or keeping them involved in projects. While the limited series might be well done given the writer they chose, the business practice at Marvel leaves a lot to be desired for the comic industry to right itself. And then what do you think? I think it's an asshole move. I'll have to check this guy out on John Semper. I'll have to remember that. But I love the animated series. I remember watching it all the time on Fox Kids. Remember that? Fox Kids. Well, that's kind of all what I have for you today. I do have some of these articles that caught my eye, but I might do those as some uploaded content. So if that is the case, don't miss out. That's all the more reason why you should like and subscribe and turn on notifications to get notified when we go live. And again, we were on the Big Five: YouTube, Rumble, X, Kick, and Twitch. With that being said, let's end this stealing side scrollers idea of games that were released throughout the years. This day in gaming history. Always want to, try to end on a bright note, see what sweet games came out throughout our lifetime and for tomorrow too. So, hopping on over to Game Facts here. You got your Dragon's Lair. Very nice. Oh, gosh. Batman Returns on the Lynx. Oh, man. Dude, King of the Monsters 2. The next thing. I actually, I don't have the Neo Geo version, but I do have the Sega Genesis version. Manual and all. Got that complete. I remember seeing Dirt. I don't know how good it is, but I remember that back in the day, 2007. Got your Transformers the game. Mario Super Sluggers for the Wii, if you like, I'm assuming baseball. Oh gosh, Farmville. I remember all the hype about like people being obsessed with Farmville. There you go. Magic the Gathering Duel of the Planeswalker of 2013. I do play Magic the Gathering the Arena every now and then. Just updated it not too long ago. Oh my dear Lord. You have the Lost Child, and then right underneath it, you got the abomination that is The Last of Us Part 2. 2020. When those leaks came out, everyone's faith just went down. And then these are more recent stuff. Female Anchor Next Door. Oh, brother. Well, you have some good games there, and then you have a terrible game. And maybe some others as well. But tomorrow, Final Fantasy Tactics. There you go. There's a big one. 1997. Sonic Jam for the Saturn. Time Crisis Project Titan. You got your .hack/infection Part 1. Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Angel of Darkness. Supposedly has been fixed in the remastered, or is being fixed in the remasters. Mother 1 and 2, ladies and gentlemen, over in Japan 2003, the Game Boy Advance version. Apparently another Time Crisis 4, an arcade game. Very nice. Dungeon Siege 3. Ooh, Neverwinter. I did mention Neverwinter. God Wars Future Past. I was going to say God of War, but God War. I don't know about that one. You have Outbreak, The New Nightmare. Aliens. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know any of these ones, but dude, some really good games this time around. Okie doke. Well, there you guys go. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. With that being said, let's see if we can do some rating. Let's see. We'll raid Alex Zedra over on Rumble. And then for YouTube, I think normally around this time is always Vara, maybe Drunk 3PO? Nope. But we'll raid Vara. Alrighty, folks. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for all your support. And if you want to help out the channel, check out membership and subscription tiers. That can help us make better content. And of course, go towards building a community and all that fun stuff. So you got those super chats, Rumble rants, all that fun stuff, and even my locals or donations in the description. Craig from Side Scrollers is thinking of getting Shankar on, which I think is a bad idea. I think it'd be hilarious because it'd probably be bashed. I would, yeah. I'm not one to really try to stir up stuff, but I think it'd be fun to see that guy just get roasted. But we'll see. Okie doke. I think we're all set up for some raiding. So catch you guys later. You guys have a good night. Take care and God bless. Catch you on the flip side. Tomorrow we'll be doing some more gaming, 9 p.m. Central Time. I'm thinking continuing that God of War with Ghost of Sparta PSP. Alrighty. See you guys. Peace.